Friday hits and suddenly every South African becomes a philosopher. Suddenly every South African acts like they won lotto and became atheists. You hear stuff like, your life is short, so let's enjoy it. And then Monday rolls around and those same people are begging their boss for a salary advance because they unexpectedly ran out of money. Unexpected? Just like how unexpected you were in buying Hennessy like you own a vineyard. But let's not act like we're all saints here, because I get it. The week is hard. Life in South Africa is tough, and the weekend feels like the only time to breathe. That's why today I'm going to be talking about the psychology of why South Africans act the way South Africans act. And let's be honest, Monday to Friday in South Africa is a different type of hell. Because you wake up at 4:30 a.m. because the traffic on the N1 is so bad, you'd swear people are using it as their personal parking lot. If you're in Joburg, you're dodging potholes the size of swimming pools. If you're in Cape Town, you're Instagramming Table Mountain, like that's going to make your petrol tank magically refill. And then the jobs? Most of us aren't even working our dream jobs, the jobs we wanted to when the teacher asked us what job we wanted in crash. Because here, you're not exactly living your best life as a cashier at the local ShopRite. But hey, it pays the bills. Because in South Africa, we don't have the luxury of picking and choosing careers. You take what you get, even if it's cleaning offices or working at call centers where angry clients scream at you about things you didn't even do. Not everyone is Paul Mashatile sitting in a mansion sipping on Savannah and talking about uplifting the poor. Not everyone is Ace Magashule talking about grants and all of that stuff while his belly is bigger than all the kids who are sickened by his corruption. So that's the reality. You don't work because you love it. In South Africa, you work because you have to. And by Friday, you're ready to snap. Okay, the weekend becomes your light at the end of a long, dark tunnel. And then Friday comes and South Africans transform into these completely different people. You go from employee of the month to chief vibe coordinator. Suddenly, everyone's plans involve phrases like, let's make memories, or you only live once, hey. But let's face it, those memories are usually fuzzy at best because you were too busy drowning in Henneken and Hunter's Dry. The clubs are packed in weekends. The Shisanyamas booming with business. The taverns are louder than a taxi driver blasting house music at 6 a.m. And you, my friend, are at the center of it all, pretending your life is a music video while your bank account is crying quietly in the background. Even the braais are wild on weekends. What's supposed to be a chill family gathering turns into a full-blown festival. There's always that one guy who shows up empty-handed in the party, claiming he forgot to bring meat to the braai. Bro, you didn't forget. You planned this robbery from the very beginning. You know it's a South African weekend when even the hospitals start preparing. The paramedics don't even wait for calls anymore. They just park outside the clubs and wait for things to get spicy. Because let's be honest, alcohol plus South Africans equals to someone is going to end up limping into casualty. If anyone works in the hospitals, public or private, on weekends or public holidays is watching, please share with us on how you cope with all of this stuff. Because I honestly can't imagine being a doctor or a nurse trying to patch up 12 guys who were robbed and stabbed in different shebeens without giving the third guy a tattoo of my 4 knuckles on his forehead just to add on to his pain because of the ridiculous stories he keeps bringing up alone. Like the guy who thought he could take on a bouncer because he had a couple of Casalagas for courage. Spoiler alert, the bouncer didn't even break a sweat. And now our guy is lying in bed with a broken nose, telling everyone, "Ish, doctor, no, I slipped on the floor, ne?" And the doctor's busy writing on his paper like, "Sure, buddy, the floor has fists now." And then there's always that one guy who thought he could negotiate with a robber after leaving the shebeen at 2 a.m. out of all times. He's in the ER right now as we speak, pants missing, telling the nurses, "Ish, my sister, I only took my phone and my wallet, but at least I still have my pride, yabo." Well, pride won't pay for the taxi fare home or the Uber. Meanwhile, the doctors and nurses are immune to this drama, which is why I give them a round of applause, because they have seen it all. Someone walks in with a bottle cap embedded in his head, and the nurses just sigh and say, "Another Savannah incident," because it's not surprising anymore. They'll patch you up and send you back into the wild, knowing full well you'll be back next weekend with the same nonsense, with the same bottle cap on your head. Don't get me wrong. The hospitals are not only full on weekends because of tavern fights or robberies only, right? But also because in South Africa, when Friday nights hit, South Africans suddenly believe they're in Fast and Furious 12 Josie Drift. Friday hits and then the roads turn into a scene from a video game. You'd think it's Super Smash Bros. Except instead of earning points, people are ranking up insurance claims like they're playing a real-life GTA 6. You'd think the traffic cops are handing out awards for the reckless driving everyone is doing because it's like everyone is trying to win something. There's always that one guy in a VW Golf GTI who thinks 2 a.m. is the perfect time to test if this honker can actually fly. And spoiler alert, it can't. But hey, now you've got a perfect view of your car upside down on William Nicol Drive. Speaking of upside down Golf GTIs, that actually reminded me of one Friday night, about a year ago now, where my dad, my family friend and I were driving back home from the barber shop. Right, we had to get that weekend fresh cut young toy. And the only mistake I think we made that night was going to the barber shop after 6 p.m. on a Friday night in Rudiport CBD. The perfect combination for weekend chaos. So my father's driving, right, and we're just a few minutes away from home, and then we reach a junction and we run into the most unexpected scene even David Gennaro wouldn't have guessed. We run into this nice red Golf GTI, nothing out of the ordinary you'd say, apart from the fact that this Golf GTI was completely turned over on its side, like this, and there are dozens of police cars and medics surrounding the scene. Dozens. I wish I was exaggerating when I'm telling you this. The car was literally lying sideways like this. Look at my hand, this is the car, it was lying like this. Whether there was still someone in the car or a corpse they were trying to get out of there, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. We didn't stay long, we just drove past. And as crazy as that story is, I'm sure you have even crazier ones in that cute little noodle in your head you call your memories. And just like every other South African, I happen to have a fetish for crazy, traumatizing and horrific stories. So go ahead and share your story with us in the comment section below, will ya? You might as well subscribe at this point while you're at it. But you can't talk about SA weekend car accidents without talking about the main characters of the stories, taxis. Don't even get me started on the taxis. Ama-taxi in South Africa contribute to car accidents on weekends like how Goku contributes to the story of Dragon Ball Z. On weekends, they operate with the confidence of Formula One drivers. You'd swear it was Lewis Hamilton behind those taxi quantum wheels, the way they speed on Friday and Saturday nights. Who needs lanes? Who needs indicators? Speed limits? Nah, I'm gonna speed at night even when the Nyaupe boys are sleeping. Because nah, me bro, I'm late for my cousin's wedding in Limpopo. Except for the fact that the wedding isn't even happening this week. It's happening next Saturday. Let's not forget the influence of alcohol on all of this. Because of course, a bottle of Black Label apparently comes with the power of perfect coordination. People leave the club and suddenly think their VW Polo is a spaceship flying through red robots like they're in a NASA test launch or a SpaceX one. So instead of landing on the moon, they land on someone else's front lawn. And have you ever noticed how every car accident story starts the same way? No man, the other guy didn't see me. My guy, you were driving with your headlights off at 140 kilometers per hour on the wrong side of the road. But sure, it's definitely the other guy's fault. And by the time Sunday rolls around, the truck drivers are the real MVPs because they're cleaning up smashed bumpers and flipped cars like they're doing a community service project. Meanwhile, insurance companies are at their busiest, just sitting in their offices, shaking their heads thinking, another weekend in South Africa, right guys? So if you hear someone revving their car at 1 a.m. on a random Saturday night, just know they're not going to Woolies for bread because Woolies is closed. It's either they are racing their cousin, testing the limits of their suspension, or proving to the world why they'll never be allowed to drive a Ferrari, let alone even afford it, because of how much they spend in the weekends. And don't even get me started on the spending, speaking of spending, because South Africans will use their whole paycheck to fund one weekend and then act surprised when they are eating 2-minute Maggie noodles for the rest of the month. You'll see someone buy a bottle of Jameson for 800 rand, but complain that bread is 20 rand and eat pap and goslos for the rest of the month. Tell me how that makes sense. Good people, make it make sense. Now let me slow down and say this. I understand, okay, I really do. South Africans aren't reckless for no reason. We are tired, man. We are frustrated. Most of us are stuck in jobs we don't even want, we never wanted, doing work we don't even like, just to keep the lights on. And let's be real, the lights don't even stay on half the time, thanks to bloody Eskom. The harsh reality is that there isn't enough jobs in this country. You see, unemployment is sky high, and even those who are employed are barely making it. So when Friday comes around, that paycheck just feels like a victory. It feels like I won the damn lotto. You survived another week of bosses shouting in your ear, shitting down your throat, and customers complaining, and the endless grind of a system that feels rigged against you. And that's where the problem starts. Because instead of sitting down and thinking, how do I use this money wisely? The average South African thinks, how do I escape this misery for at least 2 days? How do I escape the baby mama, the drinks, the lobolas, the stockfells? How do I escape all this for just 2 days? That's why we drink. That's why we party. That's why we spend recklessly. It's not just about fun. It's about forgetting about all that for one weekend. But here's the thing. I know I'm going to sound like Brother Enigma or the father you always wanted, but bear with me for a second. Listen, darling, drowning your sorrows doesn't make them go away. When Monday rolls around, those same problems you were trying to avoid are waiting for you. Only now they're knocking on the door and you're broke on top of every other problem. Because let me be brutally honest with you, like a father to a child. Suffering during the week is not an excuse for wasting your hard-earned money on the weekend. You're not hurting anyone when you do this. You're just hurting yourself. That money you're spending on bottles and braais could be used to fix that broken windshield on your car, pay your school fees, or I don't know, buy electricity tokens before Eskom takes us to stage 8. And before you say, but life is too short, Sama, we have to enjoy it. How? Let me tell you this. Is it really enjoyment? If you're stressed again by Monday, if you're borrowing money from friends and family just to survive payday, was that party really worth it? Because enjoyment isn't about recklessness, it's about balance. Have your fun, but do it responsibly. Buy that Castle Light, but maybe skip the 4th round. Buy that Vors, but don't invite 50 people if you only have 5 chops. And so what can we do? How can we break this cycle? I hope you have a pen and paper, because what I'm about to say you'll need to remember for the rest of your lifetime. I'm serious. Number 1, budget like your life depends on it. Because it does. Before the weekend hits, you must set aside money for necessities. Pay your bills first. Okay, save a little if you can. Then whatever's left, use that for fun. Number 2, I hope you're writing. I'm not saying this for nothing. Plan the fun. So instead of spending recklessly, use affordable activities. Get a chill braai with your neighbors and close friends. Go to a park for a picnic. Watch a movie. Because not every weekend needs to be a fucking festival. Number 3, invest in yourself. Use your weekends to rest and recharge. Learn a new skill, exercise, watch Summer Sambit, spend quality time with your family. Trust me, these things will bring you more joy in the long run than a hangover will ever. Okay? Number 4, think about the future. You must ask yourself, will this make me happy on Monday? If the answer is no, skip it. Simple as that. So South Africans, you deserve better. You deserve weekends that leave you refreshed, not drained. You deserve to enjoy the fruits of your labor without sabotaging yourselves in the process. So next Friday, please, when the temptation hits to blow your paycheck on bottles and braais, just remember this. True enjoyment isn't about escaping your problems. It's about building a life where you don't need to escape. And who knows? Maybe if we all start making better choices in our lives, we'll wake up one Monday and realize we're not just surviving anymore. We are thriving. Until then, just pass me the Vors because I'm going to be the one eating it since you'll be the one spending your money on the drinks.